Let's speak next to, how about Alex from Fairfax, Virginia?
Hi there, can you hear me, David?
Yes, I can.
Hi, David. I'm a relatively new listener, uh, and I really like your content. I agree with a lot what you're saying, but I'm also a very socially conservative person,
Okay.
and this is something that is something that you talk about. But I was wondering what your take on abortion is. I know that you were generally pro-choice, and I was wondering if I could just take like 30 seconds to tell you what I believe about that and see what get your thoughts on that. Is that all right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, to me, I think, once an egg is fertilized in the womb, that's when your unique DNA comes out,
Comes
and
out of
that's
where?
unique. And so, and
Hold on a
then,
second. Wait a
and
second. Wait. Wh- When you said that when an egg is fertilized, your unique DNA comes out. What do you mean by that?
so the everyone has their own unique DNA,
Hmm.
and the and no one's two unless you're identical twins. Everyone's DNA is unique, and that's the thing that makes you you. Your body, everything about you.
Okay.
And that originates at the time of conception is what I'm trying to say. Sorry if I wasn't clear. So that was what I was trying to say. That's
Okay.
when that originates. And so from that point on, the only thing different from like uh, fertilized egg to 9 month in the womb or baby is just time, really. And so I feel like at that point from conception, um, that's when a human life really begins, though, and that they should have rights at that point, though. What do you
Okay.
think about that?
Let's explore that. So, by analogy, it sounds like you're saying that if I plant a cucumber seed today and it germinates, meaning at that point it has germinated, it has gone beyond being just a seed. It is no longer just a sperm cell, right? You know the analogy I'm using here.
I think I'm following.
Okay.
I haven't heard the
So
analogy before,
the
but I think
the
I'm following.
day of germination of my cucumber seed, the only difference between that and 5 months later, when I have a full plant with a dozen cucumbers that I can eat on it, the only difference is time. Would you agree with that?
I mean, so long as we don't mess with like normal processes that happen. I mean, we have to make sure the ground is watered, make sure is. I mean, I get where their analogy's going. I wouldn't say it's a
Right.
perfect
So
analogy. I
I
don't think
guess
you
my
would say this,
question
but
is
yeah, but
my
I would generally agree. I would generally agree with maybe a little caveat, but sure.
so would so by your statement about the day of the first day of conception and 9 months later the only difference is time. A 1 day germinated cucumber seed is no different than a plant with 12 cucumbers that you could eat. And so would you treat both of those with the same care and in the exact same way?
I wouldn't say that they're exactly the same, but when it comes in the specific context of like a baby in the womb, though, unlike a cucumber, I do believe when it comes to human life, I think we're talking about like rights. When you're saying about treating them the same way, I believe that there are rights that need to be recognized
Right. No, but I'm not saying
about the baby.
treating cucumbers and humans the same way. What I'm saying
No, 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 no.
is your understand would you relate to a 1 day germinated cucumber seed the same way you would relate to a cucumber plant with 12 edible cucumbers on it?
Not a cucumber. No.
No. So then why would it be the exact same thing with humans?
Because generally we relate to humans differently than we do with cucumbers.
Okay,
Um,
but I think the point becomes, at what point do we say that legally we should be dealing with them in the same way? And the science, no science that I've seen, I mean, philosophically and conceptually, what you're saying about the day of conception might resonate with you. But scientifically, I've seen nothing that says that what's there on the day of conception is anything like what's there at 9 months. Never mind after the second trimester, never mind after the first trimester. So I guess the question would be, you might feel as though these are equivalent things, but there's no science I've seen that says that they are.
And is there like just to make sure, I'm not quite sure what you're saying. So can you give an example of what type of evidence would you need to convince you on a science basis that there would be similar things, or just to make sure
different doctors have different views. Some are talking about at a certain point of neurological development. Others talk about when would the fetus be viable outside of the womb. I mean, I think we have to go to science and medical science with that question. I don't know that you and I will sort of sort that out.
Yeah, sure. So I understand so just to make sure I understand what you're saying, from your perspective, just because the jury's still out on a scientific point of view, the experts are still arguing about it, you don't feel the need to take a stand.
It's not that the experts are arguing about it. It's that there's no medical perspective I've read that says the day of conception you have something that we would logically assign rights or personhood to. The debate seems to be much narrower at a much later period of the pregnancy, sort of like where most Americans believe abortion should be legal in most cases. The debate around conception for me is a false debate. It's an arbitrarily extreme debate because very few people even think that that's a debate worth having. The debate really is about late-term abortion and only the most extreme religious conservatives or social conservatives are talking about conception. So I don't even engage in the debate really because it's not where the science is and it's not where society is.
Okay, David. Well, if that's your perspective, I understand. I appreciate your content. Thank you for everything. Oh, one last thing I just want to clear up on. You said that the science hasn't gotten to a point where we don't know if we should assign rights to them or not.
I didn't say that. What I said is there is no case I've seen made that is a science or medical case that justifies personhood and rights for cells a day after conception.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up, David. I appreciate your perspective. I appreciate what you do, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much. Very, very good. Okay. It's a little surprising people still want to debate at conception. I didn't even think anybody was debating that anymore. But people are. People are. Let's go next to, why don't we go to William from Minnesota? William, you're on the air.
Hello, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi. I was just hoping to pick your brain a little bit about...
I have to admit, whenever I'm at a dinner party and someone says they want to pick my brain, I try to head for the hills. That's a big red flag that things are going to go badly.
Is that a saying I
It's a
shouldn't
bad,
say
yeah,
anymore?
that's a dinner party red flag. Let's see if we can recover from it, though.
I was hoping to hear your perspective on an untapped reservoir.
Beautiful.
In the way of funds building and reaching out to new audiences when it comes to politics, specifically when it comes to different streaming platforms such as Twitch and YouTube.
Okay.
It seems like both political parties just seem to have this aversion to branching out into the new generation of media.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, when I talk about this, I'm thinking about the different fundraising that can come from these different platforms, such as, say, for Twitch. Pastilli, an Australian gamer, he primarily streams Escape from Tarkov, raised 1.2 million Australian dollars for a children's fundraiser for children with cancer.
Okay.
Let's see if I can give another example. Dr. Lupo.
Well, I know.
Raised
What was your question? People do fundraisers and they raise money through their platforms. Given that, what was your question?
Given that, why does it seem like with these numbers that the political parties and these different political actors seem to not respect that as a way to move forward politically?
You're saying political actors don't respect fundraising as a way or Twitch fundraising as a way to move forward?
I wanted to expound on my point, but having been cut off, it seems like these people can reach such massive audiences, and these fundraisers can gain huge amounts of cash. It seems like there's just not the will to move forward to use both Twitch and YouTube streaming and the audiences that come along with them to build a political career. And I don't understand why.
To build so you're saying someone who wants to be a candidate who does fundraising on YouTube and Twitch rather than doing the things candidates might normally do?
Or even alongside them, not necessarily in spite of what other candidates may normally do.
Oh, I think I see candidates do that. I mean, I've seen, particularly in the era of the pandemic, Zoom fundraisers and live stream fundraisers. I think I do see it. Maybe it's just not being done as much, or it's not as sophisticated yet. I also recall Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez doing live streaming, playing games, and doing major fundraisers for causes that she cares about. So I think it is being done to some degree.
Okay. And just as a follow-up question, I was wondering your thoughts on the validity of this when it comes to moving forward in the political climate that we see.
I think it's completely valid, and I think it's absolutely fine, assuming it doesn't break any campaign finance law.
Okay. I think that's a perfectly nice perspective. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, William. There is William from Minnesota. We're going to take a quick break. If you're holding, don't hang up, because we're going right back to the phones momentarily.